Hi everyone, and welcome to my channel. My name is Maor, and I work mostly on your spiritual body, grounding, the human experience, and everything that is beyond, like the ascension process itself. In this video, we're going to talk about 11 signs that you are about to face imminent change. So, stay tuned. So what do I mean by imminent change or signs of imminent change? You probably understand that we are walking a particular path in a spiritual personal awakening. Now, we all change all the time. That is one of the basic rules of everything. Even our soul changes, even the water in our body changes all the time. But I'm not talking about the small changes that we actually make. We are talking about the big changes that we make. So I want to describe to you the 11 different signs that you are about to make a big change in your life. And that can be something huge like changing a relationship or changing a job. It can be something like moving a house, or it can even be something that is medium-sized, So the first sign is that you have a feeling that you are somehow different. So it means that you actually understand on a conscious level that something has really changed inside of you. And because something has changed inside of you, reality only reflects back our deepest beliefs and our deepest emotions, and therefore you understand that it's going to reflect back a big change back to you. For example, when you know that you have profoundly changed, but you're still in a relationship that you wake up in the morning not happy, or still working a dead-end job that you know that you're not enjoying, and you're counting the hours every day until you go home, then you know that a change is going to happen, like something big like that. So a big change inside actually emanates outside. Because we are in the midst of the ascension process, changes inside actually come back through synchronicity much faster than they ever did. The next sign is that you have a deep yearning for meaning, for spiritual connection, for something that is beyond. Now, this deep yearning has come before, but not like this. This is more intense. Suddenly you realize that you are being understood on some level. The loneliness that you have, which is in the stage 3 of awakening, by the way, I have the whole stage written in my book. It's a yearning that is being alone, that you feel like you are the only one that has really woken up in some way. Now you're beginning to see that you're not really alone, that you have everything with you, and everything is cultivating within you and your experience. This yearning for meaning can actually be a part of understanding that life actually doesn't have a meaning except for the meaning that you actually choose to give it. And that in some way is a relief, but there's also grief. The grief is for the life that you had and you wasted in some way, and the relief is for the fact that you now understand how much everything is under your control and much simpler than you had it before. The next sign for permanent, imminent change in your life is that you're becoming in some way agitated and impatient. In other words, do you know how that feeling is before you end a relationship? That you are going to have that talk that is really uncomfortable for both sides, and you're preparing yourself for it in some way. If you ever got rid of any addiction, for example, if you ever smoked cigarettes or weed or drank alcohol and you stopped, you know that you get agitated and impatient just in those last phases before the change. If you know it or if you don't know it, it's coming either way, because your body, your mind, your consciousness and your higher self know that the change is coming before, and they are preparing you for it. The next sign is that you actually find a new friend or a new person, a new mentor, someone that you're following that is on a spiritual track that is a little bit different than what you imagined your spiritual track is. And suddenly, because you're becoming more aware of the different experiences that you can have in this life. So even, for example, someone that has tried something like ayahuasca, and before that you were a little bit afraid of trying new things, but suddenly you hear that word for the first time and you say, wait a second, is it a drug? No, it's a medicine. Wait a second, is it something that we do at a party? No, it's something that we do in a ceremony. And then you suddenly realize that there's something that is a little bit more on a spiritual track that you haven't experienced yet. Now, of course, this can be in many different ways. It doesn't have to be necessarily a friend. It can be a new partner. It can be a new teacher that you have in your life. It can be someone that you just met one time and had a very long, deep conversation with. But it kind of switched something in your mind as a preparation, as a milestone for that change that is coming. The next sign that you have for an imminent change that is coming is that you are moving through cycles of life at a rapid pace. In other words, suddenly things are happening, tack, 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 tack. One thing happened and then another one. You know, these things always come like waves. In other words, you have left that and then you moved into and then you got this new and then suddenly another thing and another thing and another thing. Our next sign of imminent change is symbols, okay? For example, 1111 symbol, the fact that you see it everywhere, and I have a video about that as well. Other symbols in our life can be people that are coming back from our past that we haven't seen or heard of in a very, very long time. Other symbols can be things that we think about as symbols. For example, when we have a conversation and suddenly, I don't know, like a lightning storm comes and hits our window. Or some people see a black cat and they consider it to be a symbol. A symbol is something that you think is a symbol because it's like a bread trail, you know, the bread trail that is bringing you back home in some way. It's whatever it is that you would consider. Some people need the symbols to be up in their face. You need to see an eagle carrying a feather and it has to land 3 meters away from you. But some people can consider a symbol to be something as symbolic as a pigeon that is landing next to you, or something that is irrational that actually happens, and again you would consider that to be a symbol. So when something big is coming your way, you will see a symbol for that. Sometimes, for example, if it's a character change, then we will see a book about that specific subject. Like if it's a character change of being less stressful in our life, then we'll see a book about it and we know that we have to read it. The next sign that an imminent change is coming is that it seems like you're moving through the cycles of life and learning experiences in a very rapid pace. In other words, what you would have defined as something that was slow until now, or that your life was, you know, normal and the pace was kind of like what you defined as average, suddenly things are happening much faster, on a faster scale for you, you know, because some people like me, we're very, very used to fast change. Our intention is to experience as much as we can in a very, very short amount of time. And that sometimes comes from the spiritual ego. And by the way, I've made many mistakes in that. I had 1 year that I told my guidance that I am capable of dealing with much more and I want to clean all my karma and I want to experience as much as I can. And I got a year full of negative experiences. And in the end of the path, I was explained that this is what I wanted, right? So sometimes it's just about trust and letting go and telling your guidance that I trust you completely. Give it to me in the pace you think I am ready to receive it. The next sign is increased integrity. And when I mean increased integrity, because the changes in our life happen because we are changing inside of ourselves, right? And that actually means we are always moving in the same direction. We're moving closer and closer to becoming our true natural self. And that actually means that we have more integrity because we are starting to follow the life that we really want to follow. So we're following our joy, we're following our excitement. Now, don't get me wrong, the line is not like this. It's good, it's skewed. In other words, we have ups but downs and downs and ups, but it's always heading in that direction. So even if we have 2 steps backwards, we always have 10 steps forwards. And that actually means that we are truly becoming more and more of who we are. And that means that the words that we are speaking are more truthful and they're more meaningful for us. And we're not afraid of being something, of pleasing other people anymore. The next sign that imminent change is coming is that we're becoming more joyful and more harmonious. In other words, it's connected, of course, with the integrity itself, but we feel lighter in some way because we understand that the things are happening by themselves. We don't have to put too much effort into them. And the last sign is something that we all feel, and it takes practice to work through, and that is fear. We fear the fear and the excitement of a change that is coming. Just like when we change anything new, we understand that the fear is the fear of letting go of the previous life. It's the fear of moving out of our comfort zone. You know, like we said, the ego wants to keep us in our comfort zone. And the excitement is about a change. Did you notice that we always want to change? And some people are afraid of the change, but that's because they're uncomfortable with themselves. The person that is really, really developed will always want change. Change is something blessed. Change is a part of our creativity. Change is a part of why we're here all the time. It's what gives interest, because we came here for that interest itself. So, I'm very, very happy and pleased with you guys for staying all the way to the end. I know that you've learned a great deal here because, you know, it's not one thing that we are talking about. It all kind of comes together in an amazing way. On screen now is one video that I recommend to you to go to right after this video, and one that YouTube is going to recommend to you. Again, if you enjoyed this video, share it, like it, just view more of my videos, enjoy the channel, subscribe to the channel if you haven't so far. And if you want to deepen your experience and do a week and a half workshop with me, check out the schedule in the different countries, the prices, the testimonials on my website, raymaor.com. Namaste, my friends, and I will see you in my next video.